Welcome to our lecture series of Signal and System, in which we were talking about the Fourier analysis. In the last lecture, we were talking about Fourier series expansion using trigonometrical Fourier series. We have seen like we can represent any given function in terms of its sinusoidal function, and that can be done by using Fourier expansion. And we studied that Fourier expansion is possible in three means. One is in terms of trigonometrical Fourier expansion, another in terms of polar Fourier expansion, and the third in terms of complex Fourier expansion or exponential Fourier expansion. In this lecture, we will be talking about the polar Fourier series, exponential Fourier series, and some of the examples on these two. And then we will move toward the next topic, that is Fourier transform, and we will see few examples on the Fourier transform. For polar Fourier series, we will again start from our trigonometrical Fourier series only, and we will derive the polar Fourier series from this expression. The trigonometrical Fourier series is represented as a xt equal to a naught plus summation of n equal to 1 to infinite an cos n omega naught t plus bn sin n omega naught t, where a naught was our DC or average component, an and bn was Fourier coefficient. And we studied few properties of this, that if my given signal is odd signal, so for if given signal is odd signal, then an will be equal to 0 and we will be having only sine terms. If our given signal is even signal, then bn will be 0 and we will be having only cosine terms. For a signal which is symmetrical about the x-axis, our average or DC term will be 0. So in that case, a naught will be 0. Now to convert this into polar Fourier series, we will simply multiplying this equation by square root of an square plus bn square, and we are dividing this by square root of an square plus bn square. We are dividing this because this term will become as a cos phi. So here we are defining a term phi which is equal to tan inverse bn upon an. So that's why this will be represented as a cos phi and this will be represented as a sin phi. Now we will modify the equation. So it will be a naught plus summation n equal to 1 to infinite square root of an square plus bn square multiplied with cos phi cos n omega naught t plus sin phi sin n omega naught t, where tan phi will be equal to bn upon an, and this is nothing but a trigonometrical analogy where we can say cos a cos b plus sin a sin b, that is cos a minus b. In this given equation, we can replace this trigonometrical analogy by cos a minus b, that is cos n omega naught t minus phi. So here the a naught is representing our d naught and this square root term is representing the dn, and we will be getting the new equation something like this, and this we call as a polar Fourier series expansion. So whenever we have given a function xt and we want it to expand in terms of polar Fourier series, we simply need to find the value of d naught and dn, where d naught is equal to a naught, dn is equal to square root of an square plus bn square, and phi is tan inverse bn upon an. In some book, you will also find this polar Fourier series expansion terms to be as a cosine Fourier series expansion, because here the xt is represented in terms of cos function. So we also call that as a cosine Fourier series expansion. The third one is the exponential or complex Fourier series expansion. So in this case, we will be representing a given function in terms of exponential Fourier series expansion. So to represent the cosine term in terms of exponential, we will be using the Euler identity. That is, exponential power iota theta is nothing but cos theta plus iota sin theta. So from here, we can represent the cos theta and sin theta. So we can say cos theta will be e power iota theta plus e power minus iota theta divided by 2. Similarly for sin, we can write e power iota theta minus e of minus iota theta upon 2 iota. So that will be sin theta. So again we will start from the trigonometrical Fourier series only, and we will replace this cos n omega naught t. So here theta is n omega naught t. So we will replace this term by e power iota n omega naught t plus e power minus iota n omega naught t divided by 2. Similarly, we will replace this sine n omega naught t by its corresponding exponential function. And we will get the equation something like this. Now here we will slightly modify the equation. So we will combine this e power j n omega naught t terms and e power minus j n omega naught t terms. So we will combine these two terms. Here we are having 1 upon 2j. So generally we can write it like 1 upon j is nothing but minus j, right? Because when we will multiply this by iota and iota. So iota square is minus 1. So this will be represented as a minus iota. So this j will comes here. So it will become minus bnj. The same term divided by 2. So then we will do this modification. So while doing the modification, this will be an from here minus bjn. An minus jbn into e power j n omega naught t. Similarly, for the negative side, it will be an plus iota bn e minus iota n omega naught t by 2. This term we call it as cn, and the next one is we call it as c of minus n. Sometimes we also call that as a complex conjugate of cn. So that is a complex conjugate of cn, because in that case the imaginary term will be our negative side, so it will be a plus iota bn. We can replace this, and this a naught will be equal to c naught. And finally, we will be getting an equation something like this, that is x equal to c naught plus summation n equal to 1 to infinite cn e power iota n omega naught t plus summation n equal to 1 to infinite c minus n e power minus j n omega naught t. So here, if you will see this term, we can have an image of this term. That is, we can replace n by minus of n. So as the limit will also be replaced. So in that case, we can write it like when n goes to minus n, so this will be limit will goes to minus 1 to minus infinite, or we can say limit is going from minus infinite to minus 1. Cn, n goes to minus n, so it will be cn e j n omega naught t. And if you will carefully see this equation, in this equation, since n is our integer value, we are having all the components from n starting from minus infinite to minus 1, then 0, and then 1 to infinite. That is, we can combine this n terms, and it will be n is varying from minus infinite to infinite. And the equation will be something like this. So it is xt equal to summation n equal to minus infinite to infinite cn e power j n omega naught t. And this we call as a exponential Fourier series expansion or complex Fourier series expansion, where cn is nothing but half of an minus iota bn. Right, that part you can see from the previous slide. Here we said cn is an minus jbn by 2. So that is our cn. So in the complex Fourier series expansion, xt is represented in terms of cn, where cn is the Fourier series complex Fourier series coefficient, which is given as a half of an minus iota bn. Now we will simply put the value of an and bn, and we will see the final expression, that how to compute this complex Fourier series coefficient. An was 2 by t integration over a time period t xt cos n omega naught t dt. This was the an value that we studied in our previous lecture. Similarly, bn was 2 by t integration over time period t xt sin n omega t dt. So when we will put this value here in the formula, it will be 2 to 2 get cancelled out, and it will be 1 by t integration over a time period t cos n omega naught t minus iota sin n omega t xt dt. Again, we can use the Euler identity, and we can represent this in terms of exponential function. So cn will be 1 by t integration over 0 to t xt e minus j n omega naught t dt. Similarly, we can calculate the value of c of minus n as well, where we can take the complex conjugate of cn. So this is the final Fourier series expansion equation in exponential term, where the first equation is called as a synthesis equation, and the second one is our analysis equation. We can have the relationship in between trigonometrical and exponential series, as all the series expansion terms are being derived from our trigonometrical series only. We started our discussion from trigonometrical Fourier series and we then did some modification to obtain our polar series as well as complex exponential series. So that's why we can see the relationship in between the Fourier series coefficients. Like in the particular case, C naught is equal to A naught, Cn is equal to half of An minus eta Bn, and C of minus n is half of An plus eta Bn. We can even have the reverse relation, that is A naught is equal to C naught. An will be Cn plus C of minus n, Bn will be eta Cn minus C of minus n. So sometime like question is something like you have given a Fourier series expansion in terms of trigonometrical Fourier expansion and you need to convert this into exponential Fourier series expansion. So there you can directly use the relation in between the coefficient and you can find the value of Cn if A naught, An and Bn is given to you, and then you can put the value of Cn here to find the Fourier series expansion in terms of complex series. Otherwise, if you have given a complex Fourier series expansion and you need to find a trigonometrical Fourier series expansion, then you just simply need to calculate the value of A naught, An and Bn from the given C naught Cn value, and then you will use our original trigonometrical Fourier series expansion method, that is A naught plus summation n equal to 1 to infinite An cos n omega naught t plus Bn sin n omega naught t. There you will put the value of A naught, An and Bn, and you can convert this exponential Fourier series expansion into corresponding trigonometrical Fourier series expansion. Otherwise, if there is a direct question that you simply need to find the Fourier series expansion of the given function, then it's totally user dependent. Which kind of Fourier series expansion you want to use? You can use the complex Fourier series expansion, you can use the polar Fourier series expansion, and even you can use the trigonometrical Fourier series expansion. So that will be totally dependent on the user. But if something is specified that for a given function, find the exponential Fourier series expansion, then strictly you have to use the exponential Fourier series expansion. In summary, this is the trigonometrical Fourier series that we have studied. That is xt equal to a naught plus summation n equal to 1 to infinite an cos n omega naught t plus bn sin n omega naught t, where a naught, an and bn are represented like this. Similarly, for cosine Fourier series expansion or polar Fourier series expansion, it is xt equal to d naught plus summation n equal to 1 to infinite dn cos n omega naught t minus phi, where d naught is equal to a naught, dn is equal to square root of an square plus bn square, and phi is equal to tan inverse bn upon an. And the third term, that is exponential Fourier series, the xt is represented as a summation n equal to minus infinite to infinite Cn ej n omega naught t, where Cn is given like 1 upon t integration over a time period xt e minus j n omega naught t dt. So you can say in the trigonometrical and polar Fourier series expansion, ultimately you have to calculate value of a naught, an and bn. Only then you can write the value of d naught and dn, because we are not having the direct formula to calculate the value of dn and d naught. But in the exponential Fourier series, we can directly compute the value of Cn and then we can write the expansion of given signal. Let's have an example. Find the exponential Fourier series expansion of given signal. We have given a signal. This is a rectangular pulse and we need to find the exponential Fourier series expansion. It is clearly mentioned. So in that case, we need to find the value of Cn, Fourier series coefficient, and once the Fourier series coefficients are known to us, we can find the Fourier series expansion. So Cn is 1 upon t naught integration over a given time period xt e minus j n omega naught t dt. For this given pulse, this is the t naught, this is the t, this is also, so this is minus t naught, sorry, this is t naught. So the middle point here somewhere it will be minus t naught by 2 and this will be t naught by 2. So this is the time period that we are considering. So total time period is t naught. You can also have a time period from 0 to t naught. This can also be considered as a time period t naught. But in that case, you need to write the function value accordingly. That you need to break your integration in few parts. Like when you're talking about 0 to t naught integration, this will be divided into 0 to tau y2 plus tau y2 to this term here, which we don't know what is this value here. So here you need to find its value considering that this is t by 2. So this will be t naught minus tau by 2. So tau by 2 to t naught minus tau by 2. Here the value will be 0. In this case the value will be a naught because the maximum amplitude is a naught, and then plus the third term, that is t naught minus tau by 2 to t naught, and the value is again a naught. Otherwise you can consider this as a time period and you can simply solve the function. So it's again up to you which portion of the time period you are considering to find the Fourier series coefficient. So in this case, this particular example, we are considering this as a time t naught. So 1 upon t naught integration from minus t naught y2 to t naught y2 xt e minus j n omega naught t dt. So in the considered time period only minus tau y2 to tau y2, the signal will be a naught. In all other value it is 0. So the integration will be shifted from this to limit minus tau y2 to tau y2, and the amplitude is a naught e minus j n omega naught t dt. We will solve the integration. So this will be e minus j n omega naught t divided by minus j omega naught. We will put the limit. This will become our sine function. Now we can convert this sine into sinc function. What is sine? Because we have studied that sine theta upon theta is nothing but our sinc function, right? So sine theta is n omega naught tau by 2. So we can write that, let's multiply this by n omega naught tau by 2 and let both divide and multiply by the same quantity. So here this 2 to 2 get cancelled out. This eta to eta get cancelled out. N omega naught to n omega naught gets cancelled out. This is representing the sinc function. So what we are having, a naught tau divided by 8 t naught sinc function, sinc n omega naught tau by 2. So this is what we were talking. So we have received our value of Cn, put the value in our original formula here, and we will receive a Fourier series expansion in terms of exponential Fourier series. Next we start the Fourier transform. The next topic is Fourier transform. As we discussed that in the Fourier series we were representing a periodic signal. So Fourier series represented how to rewrite any periodic function in terms of sum of its sinusoids. And if we are having non-periodic signal, then we can represent it that by using Fourier transform. So in other words, we can say our Fourier transform is an extension of Fourier series only. In Fourier series, what we considered? We considered a periodic signal where t are having some value. Now suppose for that function t extend to infinite. If my time period is infinite, then that function is nothing but my non-periodic signal. Because what we have studied while we were talking about periodic and non-periodic signal, we said the non-periodic signals are one which are having time period equal to infinite. So it is a limiting case of our periodic signal. So while we will derive the Fourier transform formula, we will again start from our Fourier series only, and we will see how to derive the Fourier transform formula. So we will start from exponential or complex Fourier series expansion. Xt is summation n equal to minus infinite to infinite Cn e j n omega naught t, where Cn was half of an minus eta bn, or Cn was 1 by t integration over a given time period t xt e minus j n omega naught t. Same as for c of minus n. Now first consider a rect function, a rectangular function, and see what is the xt, how to represent the given rectangular function in terms of complex Fourier series, and then we will see what else can be done. This is a rectangular function that we are considering. Here it is a time t and this is a amplitude. So let this is pi t function is there. The maximum amplitude is 1 for t in between minus half to half, and otherwise the value is 0. We can compute the value of Cn. Cn will be 1 by t. Considering the time period equal to t, although this is a non-periodic signal, it's not repeating, so it is repeating for t equal to infinite. So I am considering this as a periodic signal with t equal to infinite, and then we are finding its value. We are assuming this as a periodic signal. So 1 by t integration from minus half to half, xt will be 1 e minus j n omega naught t dt. So here omega naught is 2 pi by t, 2 pi upon capital T. So we have replaced this omega naught here by 2 pi by t. And when we will solve this, it will be 1 upon n pi sine of n pi by t. Now, if you will see this function, this spectrum is indexed by n and depending on n by t, where n is varying from 0 plus minus 1 plus minus 2 and so on. So if t is approaching to infinite, the sine function will be approaching to 0. So we can say when t is approaching to infinite, my Cn is approaching to 0. For this considered periodic signal with t extend to infinite. So it means for t extend to infinite, this nyt is very small. And we can use a simple identity, that is sine when theta is small, sine theta is equal to theta only. What does it mean? It means suppose we have some signal something like this. I'm taking this random value and a random signal. This value will depend on the value of n. In this case, it is nyt. So when t is approaching to infinite, this gap this started merging. So the discrete signal is going towards a continuous signal. So when the sine theta is equal to theta, we can write this as a 1 upon n pi into n pi by t. And that is nothing but what we are getting is 1 by t only. So that is the problem here. So what we can do is, to avoid this problem, we can multiply this Cn by time period t. And in that case, when t is approaching to infinite, sine theta is no longer a small value. We are having a function. So this is a function which is depending on ny2. So we are having a signal, you can say, that depends on nyt, whose transform is given something like 1 upon n pi sine of n pi by t. And now we are multiplying this by capital T. So that is, you can say in simple word, this problem is compensated if we can multiply the Cn, the complex Fourier series expansion coefficient, by its time period t. So this will be given something like this. Now we can put the value of Cn and it will be, we can write this nyt is equal to s. We are taking it as a simple variable. So this nyt here, this is we are writing it as s. So this will be xt e minus j s 2 pi t dt. So when t is approaching to infinite, it is the limit t extend to infinite. So the integration minus infinite to infinite xt e minus j 2 pi st dt. So now we have converted this signal from t domain to s domain. And that's what we are doing in the Fourier transform. The Fourier transform, we are converting it from time domain to frequency domain. So here we are having an analogy that for a given non-periodic signal, considering t equal to infinite, and if we are using the complex Fourier series expansion method, we can derive an equation that will provide us this conversion mechanism. So now in very simple term, the Fourier transform is simply computed for a given xt signal, something like this. So we are having given a given signal xt and we need to find the corresponding Fourier transform x of omega. In some book, you will find this as a x of omega. In some book, you will find it as a x of j omega. So it will be integration minus infinite to infinite xt e minus j omega t dt. Just like the previous equation where we were converting from time domain to s domain, considering xt e minus j 2 pi st. So this is a very important equation. Whenever we have given a function xt and we need to convert this into corresponding frequency domain, or we need to find the Fourier transform of xt, we will simply be using this analysis equation. That is integration from minus infinite to infinite xt e minus j omega t dt. Now the situation could be reversed, that you have given a signal in the frequency domain in x of j omega term and we need to compute its corresponding time domain function. We call that as a inverse Fourier transform, that is conversion from, sorry, this is slightly misprint, this is x omega to xt. So we need to find it from x omega to xt, and that will be 1 upon 2 pi integration of minus infinite to infinite x j omega e j omega t d omega, and we call that as a synthesis equation. And this xt to x omega conversion and x omega to xt conversion, we call that as a continuous time Fourier transform pair, right? We can also derive this equation considering from the same our complex Fourier series expansion only, but you can directly remember this as well. Talking about the existence of our Fourier transform, just like the existence of Fourier series, again we will be using the Dirichlet conditions, which says that signals should have finite number of maxima and minima over a finite time interval. Figures should have finite number of discontinuities over a finite intervals, and it should be absolutely integrable. And these conditions are as usual sufficient condition but not necessary. Let's have some examples. The first one is calculate the Fourier transform of following signal. The xt is equal to delta t and we need to find the Fourier transform. So in that case x of j omega will be equal to integration minus infinite to infinite xt e minus j omega t dt. We will put the value of xt, that is delta t. Now delta t is having the property that it is exist only for t equal to 0. For all other value, the value will be 0. So for t equal to 0, the integration value will be equal to 1. So we can say delta t is having Fourier transform of 1. The second example, xt equal to ut. We will again be using the same formula. And xt will be equal to ut. So since we are using it as a ut, the integration limit will be from 0 to infinite. And for this range, ut will be 1. Integration of e minus j omega t dt. We will solve the integration and this comes to be around 1 upon j omega. So we have given ut in the time domain. The corresponding Fourier transform will be 1 upon j omega. Another example, xt equal to e minus at ut, where a is greater than 0 or a is a positive quantity. We will simply replace the xt by e minus at ut. So since ut is 1, so the limit will be from 0 to infinite. And when we will solve this and we will put the limit, the x of omega will comes to be around 1 upon a plus j omega. So this is how you will find the Fourier transform of the given signal. Now, if you will see these two examples, that ut is having Fourier transform of 1 upon j omega. E minus at ut is having Fourier transform of 1 upon a plus j omega. So here we are having, or we are using a property of the Fourier transform that we will study in the next lecture. But just for the introduction purpose, what we are saying we have given a signal xt and its corresponding Fourier transform of x of j omega. Then if we have given a function e minus at ut, e minus at xt, sorry, its Fourier transform will be x of a plus j omega. These properties are very important because in that case there is no need to solve the integration for the complete term. You can use the property to find the Fourier transform. So if you know the Fourier transform of ut is 1 upon j omega, you can simply say okay, e minus at will be 1 upon a plus j omega. We will study this property in more detail in our next lecture. Okay, so that's all for today. Thank you. In the next lecture, we will see the property of Fourier transform and then we will see the discrete time Fourier transform. This is the continuous time Fourier transform that we are talking right now.